Today, the 25th of July 2024, being Thursday, it means that the Central Bank of Kenya has released the results for the Treasury bills for the last 1 week. I think we can take a minute and get to dive and see the figures. And from the chart with the results, you can see that for the 91-day Treasury bills, the government intended to borrow around 4B, but the Kenyans were willing to offer 19.6 billion for 3 months. Then for the 182 days, that is 6 months, the government intended to borrow 10B from Kenyans, but Kenyans were only willing to offer 1.6 billion for 6 months. Then for the 364 days, that is 1 year, the government intended to borrow 10B, but Kenyans were only willing to offer 1.6B. So it shows that investors or Kenyans now have a preference to short-term assets. I don't know why. Maybe out of uncertainty, so they don't want their money to be fixed with a single investment for a long time. Maybe they anticipate that the rates might go higher, maybe. But it's very clear that people are very interested in short-term assets compared to long-term assets. Then maybe you are getting to hear about treasury bills for the first time, and you can see the interest rates. For the 91 days, the interest rate is 16% per annum. For the 182 days, the rate is 16. For the 91 days, the rate is 16% per annum. For the 182 days, the rate is 16.8 per annum. Then for the 364 days, the rate is 16.9 per annum. So there is no much difference in the rate between the 91 days, 182 days, and the 364 days. But we can in a minute we can see what these percentages means. So we will work with 100,000. So suppose I place 100,000 and buy treasury bills for the 91-day category. So if you do the math, that is 16%, do by 100, but of course divide that by 4 because the rate is per annum, and that gives you 4,000. But remember that treasury bills are subject to withholding tax of 15%. That's why you see that figure is multiplied by 85%. Mathematically, taking 100 and subtracting 15%, it is the same as taking the 85% of that figure. That's why I have multiplied that figure there with 85%. So if you are to place 100,000 today for the 3 months, you get an interest of about 3,400. For the 16%, for the 182 days, the interest will be around 84.25, subject to withholding tax. That goes down to 71.61 shillings. That is around 7,000. But again, remember that interest on treasury bills is paid upfront. So for example, for the case of the 182 days, the interest is around 7%. You will not give the government 100,000. You give them 93,000 so that you get the 100,000 in 6 months. Then for the 364 days, that is 1 year. If you do the math, that comes to 16,921 if you subject that to withholding tax, it drops down to around 14,382. So it means you'll invest 86,000 so that you get the 100,000 in 1 year. I'm sure you are already seeing that the figures are very small, and I agree. But again, what are you doing with that idle money that is lying in your bank? You can see that you will be able to convert that 100,000 to 114,000 in 1 year. If you compare that to still having the same 100,000 at the end of the year, you cannot underestimate the value of that 14,000. So instead of having an idle 100,000 and you are not in business, you are not doing anything with it, it is just lying somewhere as savings, you can be able to get 14,000 out of that in a year's time. So if it is your first time getting to hear about treasury bills, and maybe I have introduced some concept that you did not understand, you can just go to the channel and check a video on treasury bills where I have explained everything in details. Otherwise, if you like the content, get to subscribe and share. Till next time, keep learning.